a miscarriage. I,
Two,
I, I
two.
two miscarriages.
Yep.
How tell us how you've been able to handle that experience because I didn't realize until around 15 years ago when
Mhm.
I started looking around and talking to some of the women that had kind of become part of my life in business and social circles. And I started hearing over and over and over again, particularly in our black community, that there were miscarriages that were just happening. And how
And
were you able to walk through that particular situation?
well, it really was sisterhood for me because I had a very, very close friend that had experienced the same thing multiple times, and she was there for me to really kind of walk me through that journey. Because even when you're married, your spouse doesn't necessarily know what to say, your friends don't know what to say unless you have gone through that situation. And so, just having somebody there that says, "Hey, I went through this process," and she had had three and she went on to have three kids. So she was on the other side of it and she was able to coach me. But it was still very difficult for me because I felt like I failed, like I was not able to do what a woman was supposed to do. So it was a lot of prayer and I had to totally shift my mindset, right? And I had to start in dating myself with scripture, with positive affirmations that talked about how I was fruitful and that I was going to, multiply, and how that, when you have a seed in the ground, that you're going to receive a harvest, and to call those things that be not as though they were. So I took my own self through really shifting and changing my mind and really saying so much that this was gonna happen and that this was owed to me and that this was my birthright, and changing what I was eating and being more taking better care of myself and making sure I was sleeping and not having stress. And so I had to put the work and the effort in. This is just my story. Everybody's story is different. And so I had to get my mind to a place to be able to believe that this could happen. So accept what happened. And I had to shift and say, everything happens for me, not to me. So if this happened, it is for me, and I will get the glory at some point. I don't know what it is now, but I will get the glory. And so, nearly, 10 years later, because my youngest son now is 9, nearly 10 years later, I am meeting women and talking with women that this has happened to. And because I've experienced it, I am able to relate to them. I never ever would have been able to relate to them if I would not have gone through this. So all of my pain and my heartache, it is being used for a purpose now. You don't know it when you're in it. It could be years later before you understand what the purpose is. So I had shifted from why me? Like when it first happened, I was like, why me? I am a good woman. I'm a good person. Why me? And I shifted to what lesson do I need to learn or what next? And so you just have to change the way that you're thinking about the situations, because if you stay in a why me, then you're going to be a victim regardless. Even if it's something terrible happened to you that should not have happened to you, you have to be able to say, I have to do my inner healing work. It's not okay what happened, but I have to do my inner healing work and what's next. So when you change the conversation from why me to how can I heal from this and what's next, you become victorious in the situation, because you can't be a victim and victorious at the same time. You have to choose one path.
Wow, you have to choose one path.
You have to choose one path. You can't straddle the fence on being victim mode and then take your power back and take control of your life.
Is the path easy to see when you're dealing with something that's so heartbreaking?
For me, it wasn't. I didn't see it till years later. I didn't see it till years later. So oftentimes when we're in the situation, we don't understand why. And that's where you have to have faith. And that's when you have to trust and say that everything is working for me, not against me, and that all things will work together for my good. So it's like you being able to see it inside yourself, or see it within your spirit and feel it within your spirit before you ever see it physically.